ॐ नारायणः परो व्यक्तात् अण्डमव्ययसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्त्विमे लोकाः अण्डस्यान्तस्त्विमे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We saw last time how there is a flow. The flow here is called a wheel. We can either look at it like that or we can look at it like that. There are advantages and limitations to both. If we look at it in the form of a wheel, then we have the advantage of cycles of creation, right? And then rebirth and birth and everything. Rebirth and birth on the individual level, cycles of creation at the samashti or the collective level. That is the advantage. And if we look at it as a flow, we can say it's an unending flow. Like when we look at the Ganga, the same water we don't see. In every second we see new water, new water, new water. We don't never see the same water. The water that you saw just now, supposing you had some kind of a vehicle that was faster than the Ganga and you went downstream or further that way and tried to see it there, perhaps you can see that same water which you just saw. But otherwise, if you're just standing there, you never see the same water. So when we look at it like a flow, Ishvara being the flow, there are infinite situations and infinite number of jivas and infinite number of all kinds of permutations and combinations. It is ever fresh, ever new, always flowing. That is the advantage. Both of them have, they are metaphors. So we saw last time that there is a flow. And then the birth of each person is not in vain. There is a reason why the person is born. There is a reason why the person has a particular parentage. There is a reason why they are occupying this part of the planet and not another part of the planet. And in India, like we say, if we want to choose a faraway place, we say Timbuktu. But actually, there is a place called Timbuktu. And maybe the people there think of India when they talk about something far away. And so who knows? So like this, there are people everywhere. And all kinds of jivas are there. And if we find in other lokas, not even other lokas, what are we saying? Other planets, if in our generation, as has been prophesied by 3 famous astrologers, that we will encounter extraterrestrial life in our generation, that's a prophecy. And so if that prophecy comes true, then that extraterrestrial life is also part of the chakra, is also part of the flow. However you this thing, nothing is outside this flow. We have to understand that. Second is that flow is, what is the flow made up of? The flow is composed of two and only two things alone. Maybe three. Okay, we'll take it as three. First one is what? Karma. And then when we talk of karma phala. Those are the two main things. But then the third one is the, what should I say, surprise twist, dharma. Dharma based karma gives what? Punya. And why does it give punya? Because it is not against the flow. That is why it gives punya. It does not disturb. So everybody is part of this flow. Everybody is got a purpose. Even the extraterrestrial person in our imagination, one eye in the middle, something, something, some probes coming out, all these things, children draw like that. Even that, all that has a purpose. Even in our own body and our own mind, there's not a single thing that is without purpose. Pujya Swamiji sometimes used to muse, why is the nose here? It's protruding in the face. Why? Why can't it be on the top of the head? Then he realized, then he came to the conclusion that when you eat, you have to smell something. You see, because if there is no sense of smell, you have no appetite. It might as well be eating cardboard. Okay, it's the same thing. You can tear up a cardboard box and eat it up. It's the same thing, because the sense of smell is important. So then he would say, look how inconvenient it would be to take a cup of coffee there to make sure that you smell it and then bring it here. Otherwise, you would just pour it on your head because the angle would be funny. So then he concluded, okay, we cannot better what Bhagavan has done. Bhagavan has done it perfectly. So even though it looks funny, everybody's face has a protrusion. And sometimes people have big noses, huge protrusion, but still it is in sthane. It is appropriate. This is how he would talk. So sometimes very, very funny. And he would muse over very interesting things and have some deep thoughts about all of them. So the flow is pakka. And when the flow is there, then you are born. You means the jiva is born, and the jiva does not have, this is what we have been seeing from verses 10 to 15, is that the jiva does not have any right to disrupt the flow. So then actions done in tandem with dharma give punya, actions done in tandem with adharma give papa. So when I follow adharma, this is the teaching here. One can say, I can tell, what is it to you? I don't want to do this. Oh, but it is adharma, who cares? I love adharma. That's what Duryodhana said. I know what is dharma, but I don't feel like following it. I love adharma. What are you going to do? I just have a penchant for adharma. Well, that argument doesn't, fly here, primarily because your following adharma disturbs others. It's not confined to you. Why? Because if I want to do adharma, what will I do? Reach inside your pocket. Then naturally it's going to affect you. How does it affect you? Because you put your hand in the pocket somewhere in the shop to pay for something, and what do you have? Vairagya. That's all you have. You have Vairagya for the very thing you are going to buy, because you can't buy it. There is no money. Where is the money? With me. And so, so therefore, this is not, so my following adharma affects you, affects everybody else in the universe. So you see, dharma is samanya, but it is also has a vishesha iteration. This is the vishesha iteration, because this interpersonal business is a very, very tricky business. How to live and live without hurting others. Really, one can write a PhD on that. It's such a huge topic. Okay, I don't hurt others, but I am a doormat. No, I don't hurt others. And how to live without hurting others, part 1. How to live without hurting oneself, part 2. Both are equally important. And this tricky business was described thus far very beautifully in verses 10 to 15, talking about how there is a cosmic dance of synergy. This flow is very synergetic. The flow, there is no disharmony in the flow, even though from the standpoint of an individual who is subjectively looking at the flow may see disharmony because of their own raga and dvesha, the flow is entirely without disharmony. It is synergetic, completely synchronistic, synergetic, and why? Because it is presided over by Bhagavan, who has given us the Veda. And Veda means dharma, dharma, adharma, knowledge of dharma, adharma. And so the Veda is if the Veda is supervising everybody, which is non-separate from Ishvara, then the flow is just a beautiful cosmic dance. And there is one individual who is sticking out like a sore thumb. I am not dancing. I am not going to play. What are you? Not only am I not going to play, but I'm going to take the ball and go home so that you also can't have fun. This is the person. And so, what happens to that person? Bhagavan had some choice words. That is a certain rank form of selfishness. Why is it selfishness? Because whenever I do any action without any compunction about how it's affecting you, it is selfishness. It's selfishness. Because if I'm not considerate, because when I'm only thinking of myself, I become what? Inconsiderate. And in this inconsiderate, because I'm inconsiderate, what happens? Then there is no hope for any kind of a synergy. I am the big disruptor. And the big disruptor, Bhagavan called him in the last 5 verses, a thief. Stena eva saha. Called the person a great thief, because stealing away other people's peace of mind, stealing away bits, trying to steal away bits and chunks of the flow, the chakra, causing a disturbance and nothing else, and not contributing, causing a disturbance by not doing what they were supposed to do. And so now this section is going to conclude, and then the 16th verse is the conclusion. Before the 16th verse, he gives a, he just says that sarvagatam api sat nityam sada yajna vidhi pradhanatvad yajne pratishthitam. So everything rests on yajna. Yajna means Veda, the kind of lifestyle that has been given, karma yoga, etc. And then concluding that, he says, we can chant, Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayaha aghayurindriya ramaha mogham partha sajivati. Yeah, so this is the second line is full of Sanskrit 4-letter words, okay, against the person who is not following this flow. Evam pravartitam chakram. This tight chakra, this wheel of karma and karma phala to benefit everybody. How? Not by giving them what they want, but by encouraging growth. Because if I do what I am supposed to do, even though I do not like it, I grow. So to encourage the growth of myself and others, I have to do what I am supposed to do. And if I don't do what I am supposed to do, two things will happen. First, the flow will be disrupted. Second, if I am not doing what I am supposed to do, what will I do? What I am not supposed to do. Exactly. That's very, very easy to do what you're not supposed to do. And that's why we keep the life busy doing what we are supposed to do. And so, evam pravartitam chakram. So, this chakra, the one who does not, this well oiled wheel of yajna. Yajna means this lifestyle, karma yoga, yajna, etc. And the Vedic lifestyle, which is about reaching out, helping others, helping oneself, and living in harmony with everything moving, unmoving. The one na anuvartayati. Anu plus vrit conduct. Anuvartayati means just their conduct is not in keeping with the Shastra, meaning they are adharmic. na anuvartayati iha means asmin loke, on this planet, in this universe, the one who does not follow. Then the next line says aghayuhu. And we'll see in the bhashya all that, how those samasas are broken up. It's fun. Aghayuhu means the whole life is papa, right from the beginning. Okay. And sadly, in South India, there is maybe in North India too, but I have more encountered in South India. Sometimes if the child behaves badly, they say, Ayo prarabdha, you know, my karma, please come here. What are you doing? You tell the child. In fact, the child is called Papa. Really? Correct? Am I right here? Papa means child. And this itself we have to see, it's not very good for the child's self-esteem, but there is an objective truth there because the child is karma. And from the standpoint of an extreme Vedantin's point of view, where the whole life is for knowledge, but then here are 3-4 children, they are all what? Papa, because they are not coming in the way of my studying. Yeah, see, in Kannada, Papa. In Tamil, Papa. Papa means child. Okay. And so here he says, not just as a child, your whole life, your first name is Papa, your second name is Papa, your surname is Papa, your whole life is what? Papa. Why? Because you're going against the flow. It takes a lot of gumption. It takes a lot of courage, not the kind of courage we see needing to study Vedanta, but a wrong kind of a daredevilry to go against what is already established. It takes a lot of throwing the caution to the winds, impulsive and uncaring and totally totally inconsiderate. So aghayuhu, the whole life is papa for whom that is person is called agha. Agha means papa, ayu means life, whole life is papa. And in aghayuhu indriyaramah. Indriyaramah, arama means what? Relax. Aram karo, we say. Arama means relax in vernacular languages. In Sanskritam, comes from ram, not rum. Okay, yeah. Ram, to revel. Dhatu is ram, to revel. Ram, to revel. And then what is this ram? A plus ram, a samantat ramate. And so a samantat ramate means keeps on reveling. In what? Indriya. Indriyartheshu. Not in Indriya. Nobody says wonderful eyes I have, wonderful ears I have, wonderful sense of smell I have. Nobody is reveling in that. What is one reveling in? The objects of the Indriyas. Artha means object. Indriyartheshu, what is that? Ramanam. Indriyarthe Ramanam. So with in the Indriyas, objects of the sense organs. So nobody revels in the sense organs. What's at the other end of the sense organs? What are the eyes looking at? And what is the nose picking up? And what are the ears hearing? And so all that is indriyarama. It's just like an animal life. So you have a pet dog or pet cat, it will, even if it is so far away, you open its dabba which contains the food, it will come running from God knows where. Even if it's outside, it will come running, it knows. So like that, this person just lives for the fulfillment of the senses, nothing more. No, nothing even slightly more elevated. The elevated thought, for it to come, there should be little bit of emptiness somewhere. But the senses are hoarded with sense objects. There is a certain kind of repleteness all the time, overloaded, and the mind therefore becomes slightly dull because of the overindulgence in all these things, all the time just completely saturated with and preoccupied with the here and now, not in a nice way. Here and now doesn't mean I am in the present. No, I am constantly interacting with sense objects. And so, aghayuhu indriya ramah. And sahajivati, the person lives all right. How? Mogham. Mogham means uselessly the person lives. And each time he or she walks, Mother Earth lets out a cry. Ah, she she gets what's that? She feels the weight of this fellow on her, and she cries out. Even though she's so patient, Mother Earth is the most patient thing, but then she cries out. And so let us read the Bhashya. Very interesting. Evam ईश्वरेण वेदयज्ञपूर्वकं जगच्चक्रं प्रवर्तितम्. Beautiful bhashya. Evam means in this manner. He does not translate that. Chakram. The chakram is described as Ishvarena Veda Yagya Purvakam Jagat. So Jagat Chakram we know. What is this Jagat Chakram? That which has been set in motion. Purvakam means that which has been supervised by, overseen by. And here, for a smoother translation, we have to say set in motion by. The wheel has been set in motion by what? Ishvara. Oh, Ishvara comes from somewhere and sets the wheel in motion? No, no, no. Ishvara sets the wheel in motion. How? With the help of Veda and Yajna. A committed lifestyle for one's self growth. This chakra is therefore Ishvara's presence is there, Ishvara's intelligence is there, and then the person still doesn't follow. Na anuvartayati iha. Iha means iha loke. And who is this person? Karmani adhikrita san na anuvartayati. Karmani adhikritaha means even though entitled to do karma, meaning not a sannyasi, not a jnani. These are the people who leave karma, either vividisha sannyasa or vidvat sannyasa. Vividisha sannyasa, a sannyasa that's taken with a desire to know, and the person gives up the societal roles and all these upkeeping these things after taking a vow of not following all of them. Why? To repair to a life of study. That's one sannyasa. And then the other one is one already knows, and then one takes to a life of nididhyasana, deeper study and contemplation. And so sannyasis and jnanis are exempt from karma yoga. They don't have to do karma yoga. That is going to be talked about beautifully with a Brihadaranyaka quote at the end of this section. And so we'll be reading that. It's very nice. And so they don't have to do karma. Sannyasis don't have to do karma. And then who else doesn't have to do karma? Jnani doesn't have to do karma. The rest of the people are what? Karmani adhikritaha. They are entitled to do karma. That's a polite way of putting it. They must do karma. There is no option. Because if they don't do karma, what is prescribed, what will they do? That which is not prescribed. And there will be chaos in the world. Karmani adhikritaha api na karoti. So what does that person become? Aghayuhu. Agham papam ayuhu jivanam yasya saha aghayuhu papa jivanaha. Means the whole life is full of papa. And the person may protest in his or her own favor. The person may say, I have not done that much papa. But what have you done? Because you haven't followed the prescription, you have already done papa. That's what it is. No, but I have just been in bed all day. How can you call it papa? Because you have set a bad example to others around you. That itself is papa. Because if you are in bed, other people connected with you, what will they do? They will also be in bed. They will also not do what is supposed to be done. And so that itself is papa. So papa by omission, papa by commission, both are included. So papa jivanaha means their whole life is papa iti yavat. Then Next word, Indriyaramah. Indriyaihi aramah aramanam akrida vishayeshu yasya saha Indriyaramah. Indriyaihi aramah means with the help of the Indriyas, one is looking to revel and dwell on. Aramanam means delight in. Akrida, play in. What? Vishayeshu, in the sense objects of those particular senses, those sense objects. Saha indriyaramah mogham vritha, he partha samogham jivati. So the one who does not follow the wheel set in motion in the form of this world, the world establishment by Ishvara, based on the Veda and Yajna, in spite of them being fit for action, lives a life of papa, accomplishing nothing and indulging all the time in all kinds of sense objects, and then being a burden on Mother Earth. And so he concludes, not yet concludes, further he goes, Tasmat Agyena Adhikritena Kartavyam Eva Karma Iti Prakaranartha. This whole section should be understood that by Agyena Adhikritena. Who is fit for karma? Agnya. Gnya janati iti gnya. The one who knows is short form gnya. Okay, and then na janati, does not know. Agnya does not know what? Atma. Atmanam na janati agnya means the one who is self-ignorant. Ignorant of the self means what? You are automatically fit to do karma. If you don't have self-knowledge, you better be doing something which is worthwhile, because that helps with a sense of self-esteem. So many advantages are there, individually and collectively. If you keep doing something, you're kept busy and away from straying into adharma, number one. And then you are kept, you don't get lonely and fall into depression, because you're doing work for and with others. You're doing what is to be done. And then thirdly, you are reaping the benefits of that work, and some punya is coming your way. And fourthly, it helps with the self-esteem. You accomplish something and you feel good. And this relative self-esteem and relative cheerfulness are very much part of the what is that called, qualifications for this knowledge. Look at Nachiketa in the beginning of the Kathopanishad. What does baby Nachiketa say? Bahunamemi prathamaha, bahunamemi madhyamaha. Because when the father says, go to hell, this is what the father says. Because he's keeping on, pestering the father. Kasmai mam dasyasi, hey tata, kasmai mam dasyasi, kasmai mam dasyasi. Who you gonna give me to? Who am I going to? Tell me. These cows went to this rishi, those things went to that muni. Who am I going to? The silly fellow did not understand. He was small. He didn't understand that children are not to be given away in Vishvajit Yajna. Children are not to be given away. And family is not to be given away. Only what? Possessions are to be given away. Child is not a possession. Thank God. He doesn't know that. He's too small. And the father is busy with so many things, completely stressed out and overwhelmed. The father says, I gave you to Yama. It is the ancient way of saying, go to hell. And he says, okay, I'm off. And the father says, no, I did not mean it. But then he goes anyway, because he says you have to keep your word. And in those days, extraterrestrial travel was possible. And so, because people led a much more dharmic life. And when you lead a dharmic life, siddhis come even when you don't strive for them. That's why Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Satya Yuga, everything except Kali Yuga, people were much more subtle, existed on a much more subtle level. And so he just went through the power of his mind. He went, and then there he thinks to himself. What does he say? He says to himself, well, wonder why I was sent here. Such a strange place, and nobody at home also, and such a strange place. And he says, Bahunam, among many, Amy means I come first. This is not a prideful thing. He's an objective state. He's making an objective assessment of his own things. And how do we know it's not a prideful statement? Because next he says, Bahuna memi madhyamaha. Among some other people, when you compare me, I will be in the middle, never last. I'm a failure, I'm hopeless, that is why I have been sent here. Even the cows were lucky, they went to some rishi and muni. He doesn't sit and lament, doesn't sit and mope. This is the benefit of karma yoga. This is what karma yoga accomplishes. This is what happens when one is got a healthy level of cheerfulness, healthy idea of where I end and where the other person begins, healthy boundaries, healthy cheerfulness, healthy sense of accomplishment, and equipped with all this, I come to Vedanta to study. Either equipped with all this, I come to Vedanta to study, or I don't have all this, but along with Vedanta Shastra, I equip myself with these qualities in order to study. Both options are possible. And so, here, this person is fit for this karma and refuses to do it. And so, who is this person? Agnya. Agnya means doesn't have self-knowledge and fit for karma. This and whoever is like that, this karma, such a person must follow the wheel of karma and yajna. This is the purport of this entire section, Adi Shankara says. Further, prag atmajnana nishtha yogyata praptehe तादर्थ्येन कर्मयोग अनुष्ठानम् अधिकृतेन आत्मज्ञेन कर्तव्यम् एव इति एतत् न कर्मणाम् अनारम्भात् इत्यतः आरभ्य शरीरयात्रापि च ते न प्रसिद्ध्येद कर्मणः इति एवम् अन्तेन प्रतिपाद्य. Meaning what? By the verse beginning with chapter 4th verse, chapter 3, न कर्मणाम् अनारम्भात् naishkarmyam purushaha ashnute. You don't get actionlessness by just sitting and not doing karma. The subject matter which began there all the way up to verse 8, that which was that sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhyeda karmanah. The journey of life also requires some karma, so you can't just sit there and say I'm not doing karma. Those 4 verses are what taught us that the one who has no self-knowledge, prag atmanishtha yogyata praptehe, before the gaining of the self-knowledge, is therefore what? Fit for karma and karma yoga. And therefore, what should such a person do prior to becoming fit for the jnana yoga, devotion to knowledge? What must the person do? Karma yoga. No other option is there, Adi Shankara very seriously says. And then he divides that section into 2 parts. First part is this. Second part is yajnarthat karmanah anyatra ityadina. Up till the 16th verse, mogham partha sajivati iti evam antena api granthena prasangikam adhikritasya anatmavidah karma anusthane bahukaranam uktam tad akarane cha dosha sankirtanam kritam. So, except when the karma is performed as a yajna, it accrues papa. That was said. Which verse was that? 9th verse. And then starting with that section up to the 16th verse, the mogham partha sajivati, the one who does not know the self, and also mentioning. So this was what this was shown. Many reasons were given why the karma should be performed. In fact, even now we saw all the reasons. Why should the karma be performed? We saw all the reasons. And then what happens? That not only many reasons were given, akaranecha, if the karma is not done, The dosha sankirtanam cha kritam. What is dosha sankirtanam? Sankirtanam means praising. Praising what? The doshas of not doing. So what happens? So pointing out the fallacy by praising the fallacies, by praising all the fallacies, how nicely the fallacies have been listed. That was also talked about properly. And so the section is complete. Evam sthite किम एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम सर्वेण अनुवर्तनीयम आहोस्वित पूर्वोक्त कर्मयोग अनुष्ठान उपाय प्राप्यम अनात्मविदा ज्ञानयोगेन एव निष्ठाम आत्मविद्भिः सांख्यैः अनुष्ठेयम् अप्राप्तेन एवं इति अर्थः अर्जुनस्य प्रश्नम् आशंक्य स्वयं एव वा शास्त्रार्थस्य विवेक प्रतिपत्त्यर्थम. So, introducing the next verse, Adi Shankara gives a little introduction, a little segue, beautiful segue. So now it was established that anybody who is fit for karma must do karma. The Lord says, Adi Shankara says, the Lord in his compassion anticipates Arjuna's unasked question. Should everybody follow Karma Yoga? Meaning, even after the gain of knowledge, one should follow Karma Yoga, or the Jnanis are exempt from Karma Yoga. Such a doubt can come for Arjuna or anybody listening to the Bhagavad Gita. Because after all, you look around and what are the sannyasis doing? Just sitting, and then everybody else is, even now, you go outside and see, Bhandara is going on. What are the sannyasis doing? Sitting and sunning themselves in the chairs. And then everybody else is serving, everybody else is making sure that the food gets there and everything like that. So this is what one sees. And so the sannyasi life is, in the olden days, sannyasa and jnana were seen as one. That is why here Adi Shankara keeps talking of sannyasis a lot. So then what happens? You see also the glorification of the sannyasi's life, meaning what? They just sit around. That's the idea. And so they don't do anything. And what do? They tell other people to do things. Go get this, go do that. And so this way, why aren't they doing Karma Yoga? They should also do Karma Yoga. After all, such a wonderful section we had from verse number 3 to 16. Right? And so that is what? 13 verses of compelling reasons to do karma. Now, if the sannyasis, meaning jnanis, don't do karma, how come the wheel is not disturbed? Why it is only skewed against me? And if I don't do, the wheel gets disturbed. But sannyasis just sit around all day and the wheel doesn't get disturbed. This is not fair. Why is it this discrepancy? Iti ashankya, thinking like this. Aha, that is the segue to the next one, next verse. So here he says, evam sthite means pravartitam chakram. This chakra is there for what? Sarvena anuvartaniyam. It should be followed by all. Or, as we see in the world, drishtam loke, what do we see? That it is only by anatmavit, meaning not atmavit, anatmavida. And then so so this is for them only, this nishtha is there. Atmavidbhihi sankhyahi anushteyam, or not, there is a little bit of doubt. There is a little bit of doubt. What is that? Should this wheel of action be followed by everyone, or only by that person who has not become fit for the path of knowledge, which is referred to as Sankhya, and for which this action is the indirect means for qualifying for this knowledge? That is the idea. And then Adi Shankara says that since the Lord, anticipating on his own accord, iti ashankya, Arjunasya prashnam ashankya, the Lord on his own accord anticipates that Arjuna may have this doubt in the mind. And therefore, the next verse is begun. But then he gives a beautiful quote from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. What is that? Etam vai tam atmanam viditva nivritta. The thing is a little blurred, yeah. Nivritta mithyajnanaha santah brahmanaha mithyajnanavadbhihi अवश्यं कर्तव्येभ्यः पुत्रैषणादिभ्यः व्युत्थाय भिक्षाचर्यं शरीरस्थितिमात्रप्रयुक्तं चरन्ति न तेषां आत्मज्ञाननिष्ठा व्यतिरेकेण अन्यत् कार्यम् अस्ति. बृहदारण्यक उपनिषद 351 citation. Okay, citation is also given. So he gives a beautiful quotation. When Adi Shankara quotes, we have to get up and look, stand up, not just sit up, stand up, because his quotations are extremely apt, totally apt. Apt means apta, apta means one who has gained this knowledge, apt to gain. So very apt quotation. So, etam, this is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad quotation. Etam vai, this indeed, tam atmanam viditva, having gained this atma, nivrittam mithyajnanaha, freed of all wrong knowledge. This is very nice. It's not freed of ignorance. You see? What is ignorance after all? Wrong knowledge. I am as good as the body. Is that ignorance? Yes. But what is ignorance? Wrong knowledge. I am as good as the mind. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares. Everybody misunderstands me. I am useless. All these are, this is wrong knowledge. So these brahmanas means brahmani charitum sheelam asya asti iti. The ones who are qualified to seek brahmanas, or the ones who already have Brahman, understand Brahman. So mithya jnana nivrittaha, meaning nivritta mithya jnanaha. So what is that? Mithya jnanebhyah nivrittaha yah saha. Like that. So this is those that have been absolved or freed of wrong knowledge, meaning Atmavidaha. So these are Atmavits. And then Santaha, so being Brahmanaha, Mithyajnanavadbhihi avashyam kartavyebhyah. So they are free of that. Why? Because as opposed to what? Mithya jnanavadbhihi, by those who still are belaboring under wrong knowledge. Mithya jnanavadbhihi, those who are still belaboring under wrong knowledge, meaning by the self-ignorant, avashyam kartavyebhyah, meaning things that have to be done inevitably, because they have false knowledge. So since they have false knowledge, they say certain things are very much important. Like what? Like putraishanadibhyah, like children, desire for children. The people who have wrong knowledge consider that very important. And then three desires are binding. What is the other two? What are the other two? Putraishana, vittaishana. Vitta means security, money, etc. Money, things, security. Putra doesn't always mean children. We can't sort of heave a sigh of relief and say, oh, I don't have children. But then what about your Twitter following? Any kind of following, whether it's on social media or the desire to have a following, somebody should listen to me. That itself is putraishana. I should have a big following. Everybody should be transformed by my beliefs and by my ideas. That itself is putraishana. These are very sneaky. Yeah. Vittaishana also, not just having money. I may not have any money, but then what? There is a desire for having a huge ashram, which cannot be seen like this. You have to look like this, move the head. The building should be that big. And so, and then Lokaishana. Lokaishana means what? And SpaceX travel, going to space and coming back, and then going to Lokas, going here, going there, all these things. And then after death, they want to sit in front of Brahmaji, go to Brahmaloka, go to sit in heaven, say hi to God. All these things are Lokaishana. Lokaishana also means, want to go here, want to go there, so many things, desire to, what is that? You have a little checklist, bucket list. Bucket list means before I kick the bucket, I want to do all these things. That's what it's called, bucket list. So I haven't seen here, I haven't gone there, I have to go here, I have to go there. Like this is Lokaishana. So Putraishanadi Vyuthaya. Vyuthaya means having totally given up. And these people have taken to a life of bhiksha. Why are they going for bhiksha? Sharira sthiti matra prayuktam charanti. Bhiksha means they don't OD on bhiksha. They, they don't overdose on bhiksha. And why do they take bhiksha? Because they have to somehow maintain the body. They eat enough to maintain the body. No less, no more. And the body has to be maintained because this is Bhagavan's gift and it is maintained. As long as there is life, there is maintained. And even some sadhus, they know that they have reached the end of the life. They just, if they're not very well known, they just disappear. Even Adi Shankara, who was well known, disappeared. Nobody knows where he gave up his body. There are so many theories and ideas are there, but nobody really knows where the body was given up. It's like the animal in the wild. It just goes, hides under a rock or in a cave. It doesn't advertise, okay, I'm giving up my life. Nothing like that. It just crawls and goes away. And some other sadhus who cannot afford to do this. Why? Because millions of people come to see them. So many people come to see them. So then this is what Raghavendra Swami did. Raghavendra Swamiji, what did he in South India? What did he do? He wrote to everybody, all his devotees all over India, and said, please bring a brick when are you coming to the ashram? Please bring a brick. They got all excited. Oh, Swami is building something, some new temple or something. Turned out that it was his grave. Yeah, and then when they came, he said, just put everything, put the whole, put me inside and make sure that you don't leave any air holes, nothing. No food, no packed, nothing, no instant meals, no noodles, no fruits, no roots, nothing. I'm just going to go into meditation because I've finished my life's work. Done. And they were all weeping, for they who were all very happily, they came to the ashram with one brick, and then they were all weeping, but he consoled all of them. He said goodbye, and then the bricks were all put in place. One bhakta could not make it, or he was coming, but he was a little late. So then one brick was kept empty so that he could come. But then he was too late, so then the Swami said from inside, just close it up. After it was closed up, he came, he was inconsolable. I could not even have darshan and everything. And so he just sat in front of that. It was made into a place where the tulsi was grown. It was just made like that. And he sat in front of that and wept. And then he said the mantra that the Guru had given him. He said the half of the mantra, and the Guru from inside the grave finished and said the other half of the mantra, and he felt very, very absolved. Somehow he felt consoled. So some people do that. So Sharira Matra, this is just to upkeep the body. And that is why they can afford to sit around, because they have nothing to gain. That's why they don't need to do any karma, because karma is done on behalf of people who have all these desires. To fulfill the desires, actions are needed, and then result of action comes because of action. And so for such people, it is not needed So all these are eshanas vyuthaya, and then shariramatra prayuktam charanti. They just move around. Natesham atma ajnana nishtha vyatirekena karyam anyat asti. For them, there is no other action that is prescribed than to just continue to gain atmanishtha, a deeper and deeper assimilation of the truth of this knowledge. That's all that is prescribed. This is very clear in the Shastra, he says. Iti evam shrutyartham iha Gita Shastre pratipadayishatam avishkurvan aha bhagavan. Pratipadayisha means the desire to teach. So the Bhagavan desire, the Bhagavan here means this one, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna understands that this same message of the Upanishad has to be transferred in a simple way in the Gita Shastra also. Desiring to do that, he clarified this properly. Yastvat maratire vasyat मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते. So tasya karyam na vidyate. For such a person, there is no karya. Which person? Yahatu, whereas the one who atmaratihi eva syat. The one who is in love with oneself. Not like that Greek god Narcissus or whatever it was, who fell in love with his own reflection, they say, and kept on staring at himself in the water. And then he tried to embrace himself. He thought, oh, I look so nice. And he tried to embrace himself. The reflection would be distorted. He couldn't. All he did was get wet. He did, But this is a metaphor for Atma Jnanam. Objectifying oneself, nothing happens. Nobody was there to teach him that. There's a little bit of a metaphor. So Atma Ratihi means the love for the truth of oneself. The love for the truth of oneself is the only love that drives all their whole life. Meaning what? All the longings are there just for the Atma. The longings have been focused and concentrated right there, like a magnifying glass on, on a piece of grass on a sunny day. So much energy where? Right there, it will catch fire. So like that. So this person who is a Atmarati Syat, and then who is that person? Atmatriptaha. Atmatriptaha means the person, amanavaha, the person who is contented with oneself. We have one Atmatriptananda. One Swami Atmatriptananda is there in Calcutta. So like this, so the one who is Atmatripta, meaning contented being who one is. And Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. We saw that in the second chapter. Atmani eva, by oneself, one is happy, one is satisfied, one is contented, without any external props. And so, Atmatriptasya manavaha. Then, what is that? Atmani eva cha santushtaha tasya. This is exactly what I meant. Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. Tasya karyam na vidyate. There is no action recommended that they perform. Yahatu, this is the Bhashya. Sankhyaha. Sankhyaha means a person of knowledge. Atmajnana nishthaha. The one who has no doubt that I am the only thing there is and there is nothing more to achieve and there is nothing more to want. The one who is completely convinced. Atmaratihi. Atmani eva ratihi na vishayeshu yasya iti. Atmaratihi. So love for the Atma means what? I have love for the Atma, I have love for everything else as well. And also love for the Atma. No. The love for the Atma is so overwhelming that there is nothing else to love. such a person, atmatriptasya, so then bhavet atmatriptah, atmana eva triptah, na anna rasadina, not a foodie. Adi Shankara is saying, I'm not saying. Yeah, so na anna rasadina means by all kinds of tripti means usually we associate with food. Hmm. That's how, because when you give annadanam, you're supposed to ask the person who you have given food to, are you satisfied? Are you tripta? Are you tripta? And if they say no, you give them some more rice and some more sambar and some more everything. Heap up their plate should be like a Himalaya mountain, so full of food. And then at some point, even the hungriest person is going to say, triptoham. Of course, until the next meal, but they will say that. So here, since the tripti is like a primal tripti, that contentment is a very basic primeval contentment, coming out of the mother's womb, finding nothing, and all strange, and finally finding the mother's milk. Imagine, that hungry baby comes out, doesn't bring a, lunch box, doesn't bring anything. It doesn't say to itself, oh, I don't know what will be there. It's a vast world, I better pack some lunch. It doesn't bring a sandwich. It's just there. Doesn't have teeth, doesn't have any way of foraging, nothing. Any baby monkey, baby giraffe, everything. They just come there. Some of them, they don't even open their eyes for 10 days, like dogs and cats, puppies and kittens. Eyes are closed for the first 2 weeks of their lives. But somehow they find food. Ah, all the plaintive cries, all the feeling lost, feeling unloved, feeling alienated is all gone in that connection to food. That's why tripti is associated with food. So atma triptaha means the one whose contentment has gone beyond this primal connection. This primal connection is what? It is just a knee-jerk reflex. It's a reflex reaction. So that's why there is such a thing called, what is that called? Comfort food. That whenever I'm uncomfortable, I resort to comfort food, which includes carbohydrates and sugar, two most important food groups. Okay, so this is what it entails, and so this is that gives somehow comfort, and everybody has a favorite comfort food, and so this is the uh, so here the person derives comfort only from oneself, only from reveling in the fact that I am Ishvara, I am non separate from the whole. That is the whole comfort. Does not look for food. Anna rasadina, na, Adi Shankara says, very beautiful. Not through sensory objects, not with food and other things. And then manavaha manushyaha, and Adi Shankara qualifies sannyasi, the one who understands this knowledge, atmani eva santushtaha. So this is so why should this be mentioned? Adi Shankara explains further. Santoshaha hi bahyartha labhe sarvasya bhavati. Because all people find santosha, happiness, in things outside of them, outside of oneself. Because all the eyes, etc., are outwardly focused. The eyes fall on an object, immediately it becomes dear. There is a longing is created for that object, and that longing creates an urgency. I want it now. I have to have it right now. And that urgency makes me go for that object. And then having gone for the object, then there is a sense of satisfaction. Until when the itch starts again, all over again, for the next object or for the same object all over again. And so the finite can, because the itch is not for the finite, it's an infinite itch. It is that is only by the infinite this desire can be quelled. This is what he says. So bahyartha lobhe sarvasya santoshaha bhavati. All people find santosha where? In external sources only. And then tam anapeksha, unmindful of this, atmani eva cha santushtah sarvatah vita trishnah iti etat. So unmindful of all kinds of outside sources, this person finds santosha where? In centered on oneself alone. Why? Because they have withdrawn from all sources of longings. Vita trishna. Vigata Krishna Yasmat, from whom longing has departed. Yaha idrishaha atmavit tasya karyam karaniyam na vidyate na asti ityartha. Idrishaha means for such a person who is the knower of the self, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing to be done. Why? Because what do they need to gain? Nothing. They're not even interested that much in food. You give, they will eat. But they're not going to go saying, today I want Vietnamese cuisine. Tomorrow I want something else. And then day after tomorrow I want something else. They're not foraging. They're just foraging in terms of bhiksha. Because something has to go in and let it go in. That's what. And then so therefore they are not that interested in food or any other things, and then therefore they have nothing to do, because thing to do means is connected to the longings. All actions connect to the longings, and if there is no longing, there is nothing prescribed for them to do. It's because of the longings that there is a prescription. Because the longings may lead me to wrongings, wrongdoings. So that rakara lakara yoho abheda. So there is a very small difference between longing and wrongdoing. So if I follow the longing without any structure and infrastructure of dharma, karma, etc., then it will lead me to wrongdoing. Therefore, the longing is managed through right action that is recommended. Even in the Buddhists, they have right action, right knowledge, right attitude. All this is very important. Even in the Buddhist thing, there are all these injunctions are there. And so, for the person who has who is already leading a dharmic life, who doesn't have longings, then if you don't have longings, there is no possibility of wrongdoing. And therefore they have no vidhi, they have no injunctions and no nishedha, no prohibitions. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.